William Morrow and HarperAudio present The Killings at Kingfisher Hill, the new Hercule Poirot mystery, by Sophie Hannah. Performed by Julian Rhind-Tutt. 1. Midnight Gathering. It is not midnight when this tale begins, but 10 minutes before 2, on the afternoon of the 22nd of February 1931. That was when the strangeness started, as Monsieur Hercule Poirot and Inspector Edward Catchpool, his friend and the teller of this story, stood with 30 strangers in a dispersed huddle, no one too close to anybody else, but all of us easily identifiable as an assembly, on London's Buckingham Palace Road. Our group of men and women and one child, an infant carried by his mother in a bundle arrangement that presented a rather mummified appearance, were soon to be travellers on a journey that felt peculiar and puzzling to me long before I knew quite how extraordinary it would become. We were congregated by the side of the motor coach that was to take us from London to the famed Kingfisher Hill country estate near Haslemere in Surrey, a place of outstanding natural beauty according to many. Despite all of us passengers being present well in advance of the coach's scheduled departure time, we had not yet been permitted to board. Instead, we shivered in the damp February chill, stamped our feet and blew on our gloved hands to warm ourselves as best we could. It was not midnight, but it was the sort of winter day that is light-starved at dawn and remains so deprived for its duration. There were seats for 30 passengers on the coach, and 32 of us in all who would be travelling. The driver, the swaddled infant in his mother's firm grip, and the rest of us occupying the passenger seats on either side of the central aisle, including a representative of the coach company. It struck me, as I shivered by Poirot's side, that I had more in common with the babe in arms than with any other members of our group. 30 of our band of 32 knew why they were going wherever they were going on that day. Poirot was one in that lucky position. The coach's driver also knew his reason for being there. It put food on his table, a compelling motive if ever there was one. The baby and I were the only people present who had not the faintest notion of why we were about to board the garishly painted motor coach, and of the two of us, only one perceived his ignorant state as a problem. All I knew was the coach's destination, Kingfisher Hill, a private country estate of some 900 acres, with a golf club, 2 tennis courts, and a swimming pool designed and built by celebrated architect Sir Victor Marklew that boasted warm water all year round. A country home within the quiet and leafy confines of the Kingfisher Hill estate was out of the reach of all but the wealthiest of people. But that did not prevent Londoners of all denominations from talking about it endlessly. I might have been eager to enter those blessed gates for the first time, had Poirot not been so determined to withhold from me the reason for our visit. As it was, the sense that I was being kept even more in the dark than usual proved too great an irritant. Was I, perhaps, on my way to meet a future queen? It was sometimes said at Scotland Yard that the inhabitants of Kingfisher Hill were mostly royal personages and aristocrats, and anything seemed possible on a journey of Poirot's devising. The coach departed promptly at 2 o'clock, and I cannot think that the events which took place before the driver called out his cheery, "Away we sally, ladies and gents," occupied as much as a quarter of an hour. I can therefore confidently locate at 10 minutes before 2, the moment that I noticed her. The unhappy woman with the unfinished face. I might as well tell you that my first title for this chapter was An Unfinished Face. Poirot preferred the original and protested when I told him I had changed it. "Catchpool, you have in you the tendency of unreasoning contrariness." He glared at me. "Why give this most important chapter a name that will create confusion? Nothing significant occurred at midnight, on that day or any other. It was the broad light of the day when we waited in the cold, nearly freezing to blocks of ice, and receiving no explanation of why the doors of that char-a-banc could not be opened to us." Poirot stopped and frowned. I waited while he disentangled 2 separate sources of annoyance that he had unintentionally woven together in his invective. "It was decidedly not midnight."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?